Fire escape engineers inspect the summary video. We're here in Chelmsford. We have a fire escape here that has some issues during this examination. The fire escape cannot be certified or tested at this time as part of Mass Building Code 1001.3. She also does need some major refurbishment in order to meet the code, and she does need a full paint job, and older than 78, this fire escape is presumed to have lead. So I'll start working on just what is some of the issues. Again, all original hardware, very little evidence of any maintenance on this fire escape other than a few band-aids welded here and there. But as I go through the entire walkthrough, I'll tell you what needs to be done, what some of the issues, what is pre-existing non-conforming, and what needs to be done on this fire escape to avoid the load test or to at least achieve the certification and not an opinion affidavit. Okay, first thing, in the ground, these things there should be some sonos underneath this thing, but we need to basically clean those up, get it above, elevate it with some new sono, and get it higher so that the landscaping is not rotting the feet in the ground. All the original hardware needs to be swapped out. This must be cleansed. Then we got to silicone shut all the connections so that there is new bolt, and when possible, these things must be opened. You got to clean it with primer, silicone shut it with latex paintable silicone, close these things up and stop the water from getting in here, and start doing what's doing here. See how it's building it up right in there? It's got to be opened up. Okay, all new hardware on this. That support right there, that channel, back-to-back channel, it's rotting. As you can see, it's expanding. Rust jacking is happening on that right as we speak. Above it, it's bigger. You might have to replace one of those components. So right now, whether or not, it's hard to say, but it looks like that connection is possibly, let me see if it's going to be an emergency issue on that one. I would deem it so on that one, major structural issue there on that fire escape. So far, that's really the only thing I see that's a major. We got some treads also here, which I'll talk about in a second, and that between the treads down here and that connection, that's probably the only emergency issue on this fire escape that I see so far. But again, there could be others because this is just a visual cursory walkthrough. You got this plate down here that they've put this plate on here so that people wouldn't open up the release. So that's you can use smaller mesh, but because this was here, this accumulated snow, now it all rotted out. By accumulating snow, it rotted out the bottom foot on both sides. So that's a major concern here, is that this is an unsupported structure at the feet. So it's not even resting. So she's acting differently. I don't know how she's sitting on here, but basically good 6 inches to 8 inches of the bottom feet are rotted out. All your treads have 4 bolts on each side, 2 going in and 2 holding it down. All of them from above are all rotting. So these all have to be refurbished, the treads. And the concern that you have is these spacers also are concerned whether or not you're going to reinforce the existing ones with a spacer that holds the back and the front, or just take out of these treads, which I highly recommend at this time, since there's not that many. New galvanized treads be put in here. This push bar, pre-existing non-conforming, so this has to be a full crash bar, 36 inches across, caged so that you can open it up with a key, not a big deal, but these paddles are old. The feet are gone. The cage is not much. You can band-aid this cage, but I wouldn't recommend. It looks like this cage is due for a new cage because she's rotting from above, from below, and unless you want to leave the existing sandwiches going on these things, these cages are very hard to repair. You can reinforce them, but only for a short period of time, and probably only get you one cycle. But again, there's so many nooks and crannies full of rust that it's very difficult to repair this other than welding, and welding is no longer an option. So welding, and it's a lot of sandwiches, but a lot of this is so far gone that new cages are going to be needed, new door. Okay, let's go up. Hand scrape the fire escape as per EPA guidelines, all original hardware. And when you sit underneath and you look, my main concern on some of these treads coming down is right here. You're starting to see separation, quite a bit of separation on there. This one, and so that means that can one of these treads let go? The answer is yes. Will it let go? I can't tell unless I load test it right at this moment, but I would be concerned about this and what I'm about to show you over here. Again, all original hardware. Separate the connection, clean it, prime it. When you put it back together, silicone shut it from further water intrusion. A lot of these are rotting from the inside out. The caps are gone. See this right here? So there's not much. Basically, you got to build a new cage here. Okay? Both sides. Stringer clips, rust building up in the stringer clip. Rust eating inside the back end. I can put my finger in here already. It's eating that bolt. Same thing that's happened on this side. You got accumulation in between these flats, typical that rotting out the flats now of the grading. And the grading's running from this side to that side. But you're going to see my concern. So the fact that it looks like it's the back channel that is supporting this. It's the front channel that they added to basically make it meet the end of this grading. This is an unsupported area right now, so this area needs emergency repairs, aside from anything else. So whoever's going to do the emergency repairs will affect the entire structure, but the areas of concern is that area right there, treads over here that I've noticed that there's some gaps of 3/8 to 1/2 inch. Continuing on with the inspection. We've got every single tread having an effect on top. This is just poor design. There's nowhere for the water to go, so it's eating all the top angle, all the top bolts. So all these treads have to be refurbished, and there's plenty of meat left on them. Or at this time, sometimes the cost of refurbishing or replacing this tread with a new galvanized tread that doesn't have these collectors is better for this. And new galvanized grading and new galvanized treads is what I would recommend. Keep the superstructure, but change out the new grading, new treads on this fire escape. Continuing up here, we've got original hardware on the treads. We've got weeping that's happening. The superstructure of the support, through bolted, all welded. To avoid the load test, you gotta put gussets on that, put bolts on that, so we don't have to x-ray or load test this connection. And to avoid having to verify this through bolt into this building, let's get new epoxies in here, and that'll eliminate the need. Both here and on this little baby extension, you can see the through bolt there. That through bolt can be verified through a load test, or we can do another epoxy bolt and duplicate it. That way we can keep the original and just duplicate it. All those welded gussets, they got to change over to bolts. Any gusset that has rust in it, you got to open it up first. So we got to check out what's going on behind this gusset, because that's got to be clean and then bolted, and then that'll eliminate. And all rusted connections must be cleansed of any internal rust. Wire brushed, painted, silicone shut with 35 to 50 year silicone. There's a little step down here. This is a pre-existing non-conforming. You have to confirm the city official that he allows that trip. This can sometimes is considered a trip hazard, or this can now be dealt with as part of the change. But right now, this is a pre-existing non-conforming that the city official must okay in the as-is condition. We got water getting in behind here, and some of that water is rotting out. This 100%, look at all that rot. Put my fingers in there. Okay. We have catwalk system that goes all the way down to the other end. Picks up that door down there. I need to know if this is a cement roof, or if the city officials will allow this to be a pre-existing non-conforming structure in the as-is and allow this to continue. You got wood. This has to be either properly attached. As you can see, it's free floating and it'll move out. This one and that one down there, that's not allowed. It has to be permanently affixed. It can be made out of wood, but it has to be either load tested or certified, or if they're going to rebuild it, it's just got to be fastened so it doesn't move. And this one is moving obviously through snow and ice and freeze and thaw, but it must be at least 1.5 inches thick. Can't have nails popping like it has right now. And the other question I have is if this catwalk system is going to be allowed to stay, feeding those people down here to this fire escape, or vice versa if this fire escape goes to the other side. You got pre-existing railings that are just nailed down on 5/4 wood. They got nails. So again, this is non-industry standard fabrication, non-industry standard installation, non-industry standard bolting and connections here on this roof. So we need to have the assistance of the city official so that he will accept our recommendations. And again, we're going all the way down with this structure here. And this fire escape now, one quote is to fix it in the as-is condition. The second one is to take this structure and move it, dismantle it 100% and bring it down to the other side. So those are some of the concerns that they have here that we're going to throw at them for some budgets and stuff like that. So again, pre-existing non-conforming rail, pre-existing non-conforming spacing, pre-existing non-conforming stairs to rise and run. But again, all of these, if they will take this as an as-is structure, then structurally she has some issues, which can be easily identified and repaired. This is a prevailing wage job, so any bids, any quotes coming on this must be with using prevailing wage, and further documentation will come as to the other pre-existing non-conforming, non-industry standard issues such as catwalks and the trip hazards and anything else. And don't forget the paint job. This is EPA. Whoever touches this for scraping paint must be EPA licensed renovator to make sure that he handles the chips correctly as they hand scrape and hand paint this fire escape. Any questions? Fire escape engineers inspect the summary video to Cisco Manessis 866-649-0333, 866-649-0333.
you.